Hi, I'm JP and you're watching the Coffee Channel, and today we're going to be looking at this Peak water filter, which as far as I know is the only water filter for home use in the world that's optimised for coffee. It'll work in any part of the world because you can adjust the level of minerals that you're getting through into your water. I'll talk about minerals in a different video, but all we need to know is you don't want too much of some, but you want enough of others. And the amount of minerals in your water does vary depending on where you live, whether you're in a hard water or soft water area. We're going to unbox it now and have a look at what we get, see what it's like to set up. So this was designed by several people. Two of them that I know of are Maxwell, Colonna-Dashwood. He was World Barista Championship finalist 3 times in a row, UK Barista Championship winner 3 times in a row, owner of Colonna Coffee, owner of Colonna Smalls, great barista, knows everything there is to know about coffee. And Chris Hendon, who's a professor at University of Oregon, but he was at University of Bath originally, and that's how Maxwell and he met when he came into his shop. And this was a project that came about through Kickstarter and through the meeting of those two people and the writing of academic papers and a book on water chemistry. And this is the idea for something that you can use for home use. We actually use one in here for our espresso machine because it's not plumbed in, so we need some way of getting decent water into it without getting a filter that would plumb into the mains, which you'd normally have with a machine this size. So first thing we've got here is a little water tester kit which tests the hardness of the water, and we'll get to that in a minute. We've got instructions, fairly simple by the look of it, and then getting inside we've got the main jug itself. As you can see, it has a control on the top which controls the level of minerals that you let through. Okay, if we take it apart, we've got the main part of the jug itself here, and then we've got this little thing on the top which changes your settings. We'll have a look at how that works in a second. Okay, and in here is the filter itself. So basically it's a 2-stage filter. One part of it filters absolutely everything out of your water, all the minerals. The other part of it just filters out organic compounds. And the mix of those two waters is what determines what you get as your end product. So if you're in a very soft water area, you won't have much going through the main filter. It will mainly just go through the bypass filter. If you're in a hard water area, it will be the opposite. So the first thing we need to do is we need to soak this in our tap water for 10 minutes. So I will pass this over to one of our team who will do that for me. We'll get that done. Now the next part of it is to test our own water. Now, and this will determine what setting we use on here. So we take out the little hardness testing kit. Try and make sure I don't rip it in the process. And we've got a couple here, so that's good in case I mess anything up. And let's have a look at the instructions a second. So we need to, we've got 200 mils of water here from our tap, and so we've got to submerge the entire strip in the water for 5 seconds. So I'm going to put it in there. Okay, now we have to hold it for 10 seconds. As you see, the strip has gone coloured. And okay, what sort of colour have we got here? We've got sort of a darkish green. So what we do now is we match the colour here to the colour on our little strip here. And basically we're somewhere between 120 and 180, just past 120 on there basically, if you can see that. So that means the water's actually pretty hard. I know from experience that it's a hard water here. We've got lots of minerals in it. There's a lot of limestone the water percolates through in this particular area, so that's not unexpected. So now we refer to this, so we say 120, and then we refer to the recommended settings on here. And 120 gives us a setting of 3.2, so 180 will give you a setting of 4 on the jug itself. So as the colour was slightly between those two, I'm going to go for something between 3.2 and 4, so probably about 3.6 on here. Okay, so we've now soaked this for 10 minutes. I'm going to put it back into the jug, press it down right to the bottom in the blue thing. And if you look here, that is what determines where the bypass filter, how much water goes into it. As we turn that round, it lets less and less water through the bypass. So we need to put this into the release position, which is at the top there, like that. Put this in like this, and this should then slot into place. There we go, in the holes at the bottom. Okay, and then we were going for 3.4, so we'll turn that round to 3.4. Okay, so now what we've got is one part of the filter, the main part of the filter, is filtering quite a bit of everything out of the water, and then we're letting a little bit of water through the bypass filter, which just filters out organic compounds. Okay, so perhaps we can get a little look at this here. So as we turn the knob from the release position to position 1 and onwards, we'll see we're progressively letting less water through the bypass filter. So we're filtering more of the minerals out of the water. We're letting less of the water go through the bypass filter and be filtered of just organic compounds. And of course on the 3.4 setting that we have here, you'll see that the actual aperture is pretty small. So we're in a pretty hard water area. So you're not going to let much through the bypass filter. You're going to, most of your water is going to be going through the main filter that's going to filter out your bicarbonate and your calcium and magnesium. But we do still want some of those, so that's why we're letting a little bit through the bypass filter. So a few little observations here. Longevity, each filter lasts at this level of filtration 50 litres. The more filtration you do, so the harder your water is, the less time your filter will last. If it's very soft, it will last longer in terms of the actual litres of water you put through it. So it can be more than that, it can be 90 litres if you've got very soft water. 2 months is the maximum period, that's a sort of hygienic thing, so even if you don't use it that much, you still have to replace it after 2 months. The filters themselves aren't expensive and they are recyclable actually, so the Peak Water Guide put together a recycling deal which you can see on their website, so that's a good thing as well. In terms of usability, these are things that I believe have been addressed in the very latest model, but I'll point them out anyway. The spout is a bit random in terms of where the water goes sometimes, especially if you're pouring it quite hard. The knob itself could do with some knurls on it as it gets a bit slippery if your hands get wet or if it gets wet. These are sort of fairly minimal problems with it, and I think they've been addressed in the latest version. In terms of what it gives you a massive improvement to your coffee. Now, I'm covering this in another video, so it's a bit of a spoiler alert here. I think for me it makes more difference to our espresso than it does to our filter coffee for some reason. I suppose it's a more concentrated drink, but I find with the very light roast espressos from people like Gardelli, I found that it really works much better than standard water or water that's been through a normal filter, as in a non-coffee related filter. For filter coffee, it makes less of a difference, but it's still appreciable. It's still noticeable that you can tell the difference between something that's made with tap water and something that's been made with a peak water filter. Now, it's best in areas where the water is fairly hard. Where the water is soft, you can't add back in those minerals. You can only take them out with this filter. So you're not going to get an amazing difference in those areas because you're not going to be able to take something out that you don't have. So there we are. We've got another video coming out about the peak water filter and how it actually tastes. We do a blind taste testing with it. That'll be out soon. In the meantime, like and subscribe if you like our videos, and see you soon.